Hi everyone, we're going to learn how to add the APIs to our, not just our web, but also transfer it over onto the mobile side of stuff. So we're going to see both sides of it, and we're going to be using this Ghibli movies API. So I will show you what it is. So it's going to be this one, the Ghibli Studio. I know we looked at a different API last class, but I'm going to post another video on APIs, another way of doing it, and also just going through that animation that we went through last week, but how to transfer that over onto the mobile side of things. So I'll leave a link here to this actual API so you guys can check it out, and if you need to read more about it, there's like documentations on this API here that you're able to then grab more information. So first we're just going to make the folders on our desktop. So I'm going to just make it, I'm going to make the web version first. So I'm just installing the package for setting up the next application. So once you've created the web folder, it should be on your desktop there. So let's go into the web desktop, and we'll just run it quickly. So I'm just double checking, make sure that it shows up. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be making an API separate page just so it's just more organized. I'm just going to have to end this server right here, and then I'll just drag and drop it over. So right here in the pages, we are going to just make another one, another file, which is Ghibli. Let me just double check here. So I'm just going to make a new file here, and I'm just going to call it Ghibli API.js. Now this is where we want to actually start writing our code here for grabbing the API information. So in order to do this, we want to first import use state, because we will be using this shortly. And we're going to be using Axios as well. So let's just start with those two first. And I'm just going to set up the page right now. And we're just going to set it to default of 0 right now. And we're also going to set up, we're going to be populating an array of movies that we're grabbing from online. So I'm just going to set this up as well in the use state. So let me just add a return statement here, just so I have this set up here. So what we want to do is we want to first grab the API from the actual Ghibli website. So this is the Ghibli site, and right here it will tell you all of the API information and how to get started. If you want to read more about this, there's a lot of documentation on this and how to grab the information. So let me just see here. Okay, so it looks like it's pretty short here. So let's get started on this. Let's first set something up here. So const get Ghibli movies equals async So what we want to do is we're going to be using Axios to actually grab the information, and the actual URL for this will be HTTPS . So this site can actually just, this URL can actually just be found online, just right here on the actual documentation. So it's went ahead a little bit. Base URL. Users must prepare all resources calls with the base URL. So this is what we are trying to grab right now from the documentation. And we're just putting /films because we want to just grab the films right now. And let's try to console log this so we can see this in the actual console log, so we could see the results that were returned back to us. And what we want to do right now is we want to actually grab all of the movies that are returned to us, and we're actually going to put this, all the results, in the array that we've created at the top in the use state. So then this way we can just grab the information that we need. So right now this set movies is referencing this use state, and we are just using this empty array right now, and what we're doing is we are grabbing the information using Axios from this site right here, and we are just putting all the movies in the set movies, taking all the results from here, from the Axios call, and grabbing all of the data. So then this data will now be populated whenever we call movies. So let's actually set up our interface for what it'll look like on the screen. And this is for the web browser version first. So we're going to set up a button first. So what's happening here is we're on the button click, we are going to execute this asynchronous function that we have set up at the top here. So whenever we click the button, it's going to use Axios to grab the information. So first thing actually we need to do is we also need to install Axios. So let's actually go to install this. Let me just check here. So right here in our terminal, we're just going to do npm I Axios. So we're just doing npm I Axios, so then we can install this in our packages. So let's just double check our package here. So we got Axios now installed. That's perfect. So now here in our web application, we're just going to do npm run dev just to double check to make sure it works. So right over here you can see we got our button set up right now, and we only connected the button to the console log really, so then it'll grab the information. So if we click on the button, you can see here we actually get the data in the console. If I open this up here, you can see here we got a bunch of information. In the actual data, we could click it, and all these information here, you could see we got 21 or 22 different movies right here with the ID and the title. If we open one of them up, it actually has a lot more information. So we can actually grab whatever information we need from here and then display it on our actual screen. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So I'm just going to end this server right now. And what we'll be doing is we're just going to add a little bit more code here, so then we can have this running like we should. So let's first try testing this out here, and we'll do h3. So we're just going to call num movies because we have some movies right there, which is like a set number, a length that's given to us, so we'll know like how many times to loop through it. So we're going to see the results there. And I'll just finish the sentence here. Movies from the database. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to actually run through the number of movies. So num movies is if it's greater than 0, then what we want to do is we actually want to display the information. Title of the first movie that came back from the database. So we just want to just test it out first. So grab the first position, which is 0. Let's grab the title. And then we'll do movies position 0 dot original title. So the only reason I know that it's called original underscore title and title is because it's actually shown in the actual browser in the console log. I'll show you one more time. So I'll just run the server again so I could show you. So all we have so far is just that title right there. And if I click on this, you can see here it actually returns how many movies that were passed to us from their database. But also we got that first sentence, which is the first position, which is castle in the sky, and then also the original title. The only reason I know that that's what it's called is because if we go here and to our data, let's click on the 0th position. So you could see here that if we go here, you can see there is one called original title, which is what is showing on the browser right now. And then that other title would be, let's see here, right down here, title. So whatever these titles are here, these descriptions that are given to us, the data, we can actually use these different ways of calling the information based on whatever's given to us. So even in one of them, in the people section, there's actually more information and it loops through again from 0 to 6. So we can always grab that information as well, but you can see how much information is given back to us. So what we want to actually do right now, instead of just getting one information, let's say we want to grab all of the titles. So right here, we only are in position 1. What if we want to loop through everything all the way down to the 21st? So all 22 movies, and it'll display on our browser. We could actually do that as well. So first thing we can do is, let's just organize this a little bit, and we will add a break here. Now right here is where I want to loop through everything. I'll just say num movies greater than 0 and movies.map. So what the map functionality will do is it will actually loop through all of the movies that have been passed to us. So the movies is right here, and what we did is we put it in this array that we have set up. So it sets up grabs all of the data from the results of the Axios API call right here. So it's storing it within this actual array, set movies. And now in the set movies, we just call movies in order to grab one movie at a time. So let's say here in the map, so we're just going to put brackets right there after map. And then what we want to do is we actually want to loop through the information. So we could put O, I, and let's do this. And let's just test this out first, just to make sure that it works. O dot original underscore title. We'll just test it out first right now, just to make sure it works. So we have num movies greater than 0, and we have, okay, so all we need actually is just a container. That's why. Let's wrap this around something to contain it. So let's just say we just want the original titles, all of the movies right now. So what it's going to do is O represents all of the different items within that array. So it will loop through using the map functionality. This is a built-in method that will just loop through one thing one at a time to grab the original title, and I is just the actual index. So usually there's like a key equal to something like this, so it gives it like a unique ID. But let's try testing this out and see what it looks like in the browser. So right here, we have this set up. So let's say we click on the button, and you can see here it actually grabbed all of the different original titles down below here from the actual database. So let's try finishing this off so we could grab a little bit more information, but let's try adding a little bit more. Let's add a card so then we can give it a little bit more of a unique presentation on our actual browser. So what we're going to do is we're going to add semantic UI so then we can give it a little bit more of a nicer presentation. We're going to add a card so it will actually look a lot nicer. So let me just add this semantic UI in first. Let me end the server. And I am just installing semantic UI React and semantic UI CSS as well. -- save, we could do that. Oh, so we could, all right, then I will just do this. Okay, so it looks like it says yarn is not recognized. Let me just try install yarn. So I'm just going to be installing yarn on my computer right now, since it seems like yarn cannot be found. So let me try installing this one more time here. Alright, looks like it's going. Okay, so now that semantic UI has been installed, it should be in our package now. Yep, semantic UI, so we have the CSS in React. And let's see here. Let us go ahead and add the card now. So what I'll do is I will type this out so you guys could see. But you could get this information as well from the actual semantic UI website as well. And then I'm just going to add in the actual keywords that we're going to need in order to grab the information from the API. So let's make a card. And we're going to have to import this at the top first. So I am going to import this. Import card icon image from semantic UI React. And this should actually be all the way at the top. And that should be good. So this information, I'll show you where it is exactly. So right here, when I actually go to the semantic UI React website, there is an area under view, which is card. And I'm just going to be following this layout with the card. And we're just going to add a few other elements as well. So then we can actually just replace what we need with the information that we actually want to grab from our API. So I will start typing it out one by one so you can actually see. So we're going to grab the image. We'll add a card.meta. And in here we'll have the actual o.original underscore title. Right below this card content, we'll make another card content. And right here, what we'll do is we'll just grab the producer, and also we will grab the director as well. And that should be all set up right now, so then we can grab the information from online. So let's test this out. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to that Ghibli URL. Let me just double check. What is it called? And we're just going to go to that actual page right now. So right here we start at this location where there's nothing showing up right now. And I'm just checking the console log. Just open the console log so we have this. Let's get all the movies now. And as you can see right here, it actually populated everything on our screen as to what we want to see. So we have all our information. We have the title, a little bit of a description below with the title, the original title, well actually the original title and just the other title, and this is the description below. So we got this all laid out within a card, but you know, you could stylize it more if you want. This is just an example, and now we have the information grabbed from our the online API. So now we are able to successfully grab the information using the API. We just used the map functionality. So right here, when it says each child in the list should have a unique key prop, that's where I told you about this key. If you get that error, it should be I, because I represents a unique number or letter. Well, it's a number, and this will make each iteration unique from the others. So let's refresh the page and double check. So you can see here, the error actually went away now. So before we start going on to the mobile part, I'm also going to show you an example so we can add animations as well. So let's add another page and call it animation.js. And right here, we're going to write our code for the animation part. So let's do import. We're going to use motion. I'll show you the website for this as well very shortly. And we're going to use framer motion. And we'll set everything up right now. And we're just setting up the use state because we will be using this shortly. We're going to start at an initial position of 0. And what we're going to do is we'll do a return. And we're going to set up a small little animation. We'll have a button. And on click, we're going to perform some kind of functionality here. So it will actually show the actual information on our screen based on how many clicks we are trying to do. So what we're going to do is we need to connect it to the set show div right now. So what we'll do is we'll do set show div and then show div plus 1 greater than 3 And then right now this is a ternary operator. So if you want to know more about this, I'll probably make another video on how ternary operators work, but there's also documentations on it. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to add one to the show div every time we click on the button. So that will determine what will be shown on the actual screen. So all we want to do is we want to do some kind of animation. So based on the show div number, if it is greater than 1, we want to do the motion.div. And let me first go to the actual documentation of Framer Motion, because we will have to install something as well. So we're just going to be working with Framer Motion right here and adding it onto our site to give that functionality. So right here, I'm just going to go through it one more time. If you read the documentation, it should be an installation guide. So if we go to guide, motion, API documentation, introduction. So see here, we have to use motion.div in order for it to work. So it always has to start with a motion, because that knows that it needs to do some kind of animation. And before we actually get started though, we need the actual installation. So, okay, let me just go to Framer Motion installation. So I'm just going to install this Framer Motion. Let's install this. So I just noticed that I spelt motion wrong, so it should be motion. So M-O-T-I-O-N. So once it is done installing, you should see in your package that Framer Motion has been installed, so we are ready to go. So let's go back to our animation here. And you can see right here that we have imported motion from Framer Motion at the moment, and we're using motion.div because the documentation clearly states, if we go back here, so I'm just showing you the documentation because it tells us exactly how to set it up. Let's go to examples. And you can see here it tells us what to import from the top. And it also shows you here that we have to use motion.div. And inside this first motion.div, we add our elements of like transition or animate or initial. This is where we're able to actually do some kind of action. So what we'll be doing is we're just going to add all our styles again here. So we'll have a style here of how it'll look, and then an initial phase of what it'll do, and we also want to put how it will animate. Let's put opacity 1 and scale. What we're going to do is show div based on whatever number value it's at. So if it's at 1, then we'll have some kind of large. What it'll do is it will make the text really large at first, because it's when we click once, since 1 is not greater than 1, it will be 5, so that means it'll be a large value because the first one is true and this one is false. So since 1 is not greater than 1, then it's false, so we make the size of the text 5. And we'll do x of 0. And then we'll add a transition, duration 10. And this should all actually be in the one opening, in the one tag at the top first. So right in between the tags now, let's call it animation 1. So the code should look something like this. So motion.div, we're supposed to put it inside the actual motion.div tag. So you can see here the closing for the first part of the tag. And then we write our text, and then that actual closing tag for the motion.div. So then we can stylize this text right here that's labeled animation 1. And we're going to do another one as well, so let's copy this. So what we'll do is this, let's say if this is greater than 2 now, what we'll be doing is we'll change this to 2. And animation 2. And now we'll just copy it one more time, so we'll do the third one. Three and 3. And also change that to 3. So now let us try running this. So we got the div right here. If we click on it once, there we go, we got the animation coming. And animation 2, you can see it's there. Animation, and then animation number 3. So you're going to just have to play around if you want it to come out from the left side, top, right, bottom. It's really up to you, however you want to do this. But let's go back to the code over here. And what I want to do now is I want to see how I can use animation and these Ghibli API on an actual mobile device. So let's see how we can transfer this over right now.